Hi there, Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai. As you may have guessed from the intro, we're going into the jungle. We're going to revisit the Ficus root over temple planting. It has been untouched since the last video, and as you can see, the jungle has kind of grown up around it. You can't even really see much of the temple anymore. It's all covered in moss and plants and weeds, and so today we're going to go in and we're going to tidy it all up and do some styling on the top of the tree. So since the last time we visited this tree, I did plant a lot of cuttings around the pot with the plan to eventually create a forest. However, these weeds out front, which I think are plantains or something, that's not intentional. They just grew in there, so they're gonna have to be pulled out. And yeah, they got some fairly good roots in there. I broke quite a few off. So I'll try and pull them out the best I can. Well, still getting rid of some weeds. You know, it's kind of fun working on this planting because it is like finding a temple that's been buried by the jungle, kind of rediscovering it every time you go to clean it all up and work on the planting. Here's our stone temple behind here, hidden behind all this moss. So we're going to uncover a lot of it, but we're still going to keep enough moss on it to look like an ancient temple that you would see in the jungle. That, you know, it's always growing moss on it, and just like this one, you know, a year it's almost completely covered with moss. We'll keep weeding and we'll come back when we're ready to start working on the moss. I finished the weeding. The next step I think we're going to style the top of the tree. I was going to work on the moss next, but I think we'll do some styling on the tree. It's grown untouched since the last time we pruned it, which was quite heavily. We just kind of pruned a small canopy on it before. So there's a lot of stuff in here that needs fixing. There's a lot of growth. And we'll have a look at that and decide what we're going to do. So we're looking at the side view of the tree now. So the front of the tree is over here, and this is the back of the tree over here. So you can see the tree starts off and it leans back away from the viewer, which isn't a good thing in bonsai. So what we want to do is start redirecting, you know, the major growth back towards the viewer so it doesn't slant away from us all the time. So it comes then back in balance. So we're back to the front view of the tree. The first thing we're going to fix is there's a branch coming off to the side here, which is the thickest part of the tree. We want to encourage this upright trunk here to become the main leader, and this side branch is kind of taking over. So we've got to do some drastic reduction on it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this vertical growth on it. So we're going to keep it more of a side branch rather than an upright styled trunk. So here we go. That's gone. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's a more convincing side branch now. So we still have to reduce some of this vigor on it. And I think we're going to have to do some wiring to it to get it more of a horizontal branch rather than this coming vertical. Okay, let's get this wire on here. So we want to twist it this way. So we need some good anchorage. I think we're going to start our wire way back in here. And goodness me, it's a train. I think we'll end that wire about here. Now we'll see if we can put some twist to this branch and get it more horizontal. That seems to be doing the job. Now the next step is to reduce it so we're not getting too wide. So we're going to keep this branch horizontal, so we want to prune to a downward facing branch. There's a good one here. And make it more compact. So here, I think we'll take it back to here. And we've got one out the back we can reduce a bit. And a few other branches, just to get them a little more compact. Now we've got one growing across the design here, which we can't really use. It's growing almost straight up out of the branch and crossing everything, so we're going to get rid of that. Yeah, that definitely makes it more of a side branch. Let's see what's next. We've got a fairly thick branch coming off the side here, which kind of, sort of matches this branch. It just needs a bit of trimming. So it's going to be also a horizontal branch, so we're going to get rid of some of this vertical growth. So the next problem I have to address is I've got a back branch here that's really cutting across all the other trunks, which isn't so nice. I'm thinking we might want to get rid of that entire branch. I think we do. It's just not pointing in a good direction. I'll take that off flush there. That's better. Now, we've got, like I said, this is supposed to be our major trunk here. We do have a lot of auxiliary growth in here. Got a little tiny sucker here that we don't need. I'm going to take that off. And I got a dead branch coming forward here I can take off. I want all the branches to flow outwards from the design. We've got one that's coming quite, well, it is vertical here. I think we're going to take it off quite far to back to here. And then we've got a lot of crossing branches in here. Definitely take this one off. We've got a Y here. I think we're just going to have to take that off. It kind of grows in towards the design. It's got nice taper and everything. It's a nice branch, but it's just going to have to come off. We'll just have to grow some more nice branches. And then we've got another trunk line here that kind of crosses everything. I think that's just going to have to come off too. I'm just going to take it off. It's just cluttering up the apex of this tree. There we go. I'm wondering about this hanging branch here. I think let's shorten it for starters, quite far back. And then we'll decide if we're going to remove it later on. I think my gut feeling is we are. It kind of creates a trunk comes up from this branch and then it kind of creates a circle here. I don't think we want that. Let me take it off short here. It's a little better. Leave it at that for now. Got another sucker growing in here we can get rid of. And one here. And I think we want to get rid of this part of the trunk here. May get rid of that altogether someday, but okay, so we're seeing the major trunk line, which is up to here. Now, this is quite distracting, this branch. It's got to be pruned more like our horizontal branches, so we got to get rid of some of that vertical growth on it. So I'm going to take off this vertical growth. We'll take it off here. We do want this to be our apex, the highest point. Another crossing branch in here we can get rid of. And I'm going inside here. Get that. And I think we're just going to have to get rid of all that upright growth, or we do have a branch here we could prune this one back to, which might not be a bad idea. Get rid of this kind of bulge here. Keep it a little lower. Let's do it. Let's do that major cut here. There we go. Now we have a branch at the very back that hangs down quite low and then comes up, which is fine, but we just don't want it to come up as high. So again, we're going to prune it back shorter. See how that looks. That's better. We can get rid of our crossing branch back here, and we can shorten our hanging branches. And there's a few suckers in here we can get rid of. One here. Now let's see what we're left with here. Well, we definitely have an upright line to the tree, and it's coming forward, which is good. It's more balanced. So we've got a sucker in here I think we want to get rid of, so we can see our trunk line a little more clearly. Like that. And don't think we want these branches hanging down so low. going to get rid of this low hanging branch here. And also back here. And we want to get rid of some of this vertical growth here. Start taking this back. Anything growing in the inside we can take off. Get rid of this vertical growth. And reduce the overall length of it. We're going to reduce our apex a bit, just trim it back. Make sure all our branches are fanning out from the design. We don't have stuff growing inwards like this branch. Reduce the height. There, the apex is down better now. Okay, so we've got it more down to a tree form rather than our kind of low, wide look, which would be more like a tree growing by itself in the wild. This is eventually going to have a forest around it. So I want this tree to be more of an upright look rather than a low spreading structure to it. So there'll be more pruning in the future, probably to get it more of an upright tree. We may even have to take some of these lower branches off eventually, but that'll come in the future. So the next step we want to do is I'm just going to look at all these cuttings growing around it, and I'm going to do any corrective pruning I need to do on them just to get them kind of growing upright so they're not, you know, leaning on funny angles or doing strange things. So that's my next step. So on some of these they're leaning a bit, so we'll just prune our apexes to a more upright point if we can. Yeah. Don't want to take too much foliage off because we're trying to grow these trees. Okay, that looks pretty good. I was going to clean up the moss and expose the stone temple underneath here as my next step, but I'm rethinking that. I will be repotting this tree in spring, and it's going to go in a large rectangular tray. I've got a stainless steel tray that I'm going to put it in. My plan is to eventually have this hidden in the forest, in a ficus forest. So all the trimmings I took off this, I'm going to try and grow as cuttings and just make our forest larger and larger every year. So because I'll be repotting this, I'm going to leave all this moss on, because inside all this moss I'll probably have a lot of roots growing because it's humid and moist in there. And our step is to eventually replace these large straight roots with some more roots that kind of follow the temple better. So hopefully in this moss there's some roots growing in there, and we can eventually cut these long straight ones off and get a more interesting root base on the tree. So that work will come in spring. We'll look and see what roots we have under all this moss. We'll strip it down totally, and we'll go to repot it, and we'll see how much of a forest we can build from all these cuttings. The forest may take quite a few years before we kind of get it to even look like a forest, but we'll work on it. So that's going to be it for today. Nigel Saunders for KW Bonsai. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.